I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
And we are finally going to do a Christian band.
Oh, they're Christian?
Yeah, it's August Burns Red.
Oh.
August is a Christian band. At least a couple of the singers. I mean, the singer. It's a couple of the members of the band are Christian. I know the singers. I know the singers are Christian. This is like one of their breakout songs, Composure. I know the music of this song, but I do not know the actual lyrics.
Oh.
So this should be interesting. So anyway, this is Composure by August Burns Red. Funny thing about that song is, you know, it's a very poetic, you know, title of a band.
Yeah.
August Burns Red. In reality, I guess what happened was, like, I thought there was some beautiful literary Shakespearean.
Yeah.
That's all bullshit. No, there was this girl. And I guess there was a horrible breakup, and the girl set the dog on fire. And the dog's name the dog's name was Red, and the girl's name was August, so it was August Burns Red.
Stop it right now!
I'm pretty sure that's where they got the band from.
She lit the dog on fire?
Girls can be crazy.
Come on!
Girls can be crazy.
I mean, I understand you break a window or something, but friggin' light a dog on fire?
Girls can be crazy.
What the hell is wrong with that? No, that's crazy. Beyond crazy.
She needs some serious.
That's insane.
Serious chutch.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, this is Composure. So I'm very, very interested to hear this song and actually look at the lyrics for the first damn time. All right. Let's go. August Burns Red. Do we have any updates for the people?
I don't think so.
We don't have any updates. We finished the Metallica trilogy, so the other two will be. I'll put those cards.
Hey, we also saw some people shouting us out on Facebook, so that was pretty exciting. We were like,
a couple people were mentioning us and suggesting us.
See, you gotta understand, we're just regular people to each other and to the people around us.
Yeah.
So when people are shouting us out on Facebook, I'm like,
I know. I'm like, look at this review. People reviewed us. They gave us a 5. Yeah.
So thanks, guys.
Yeah. That's never gonna get. Or every time I look at my phone and I see another person subscribes to us.
Yeah, we're always like, I know this is.
I got us. Yeah. She'll go, what's that flash on your phone? I'm like, just a subscriber.
Yeah.
Just a subscriber. All right. That was for all my Attack on Titan. Isn't that how it's supposed to go?
One hand behind and one in front.
What y'all know about that?
Right.
We're completely off topic. Like
okay, we gotta focus now.
4 people are gonna see this. Okay.
I need everything quiet. Ready? Here we go.
Woo! This is metal. This is metal, y'all.
Again.
That's what he was saying. Okay. All right. Huh. All right.
What do you make of it?
Start.
Well, I mean, he's obviously, it sounds like the way that he's coping with life is that he's cutting himself. Sounds like obviously on his arms, which is why he's pulling his sleeves down to cover it up so people don't see it. Pull it together, button up your shirt, roll down those sleeves, don't let them see how you've coped. It's not the first time, and they're getting deeper, so it sounds like he's using that as a cope. The weird thing about coping mechanisms is they're never satisfying. So the more you cut, the deeper you want to cut, the more, you know, and that's just that's just for what I've heard from people that I've talked to.
Well, I mean, I don't know about, you mean unhealthy coping?
Yes, unhealthy coping mechanisms. They don't satisfy.
Yeah, I mean, there are healthy ones and there are unhealthy ones.
Right.
You know, so I mean, as a former cutter, I didn't even know that this was like a phenomenon. I still don't really understand. I mean, I know why I was doing it, but it was, you know, I had an abusive person in my life, and so they were very physically abusive, and so I wanted to. My mentality at the time was that I was going to cut myself and hurt myself to kind of build up a tolerance for pain, so that when this person went after me, I would be able to say, "You can't fuck with me." You know what I mean? Because I had already, you know. But then it evolved into something else. So but this was like, I was in high school. I was like, you know, 17, 18 years old at the time, and this was the, you know. This is the inner city, this was the hood, so you didn't hear a lot about people doing that to themselves.
Oh, okay.
So I thought like I was the only person, you know, on the planet that did something like that. Which,
really?
Oh, yeah. So it like fed into my ego. I was like, yeah, I'm going to do this, and
oh, wow.
And it's going to build, and, you know, it you know, I remember looking the person in the eye and saying, "You can't touch me, you can't hurt me," you know?
Yeah.
But then
literally saying those words or thinking them?
No, I would literally look them in the eye and say, "There's nothing you can do to me to, you know, whatever."
Wow.
Because, I mean, they weren't drawing blood, you know what I mean? Because I was a dude and it was a female that was doing it. So I remember that, and then, but what ended up happening was it became a coping mechanism. And I don't know for stress, and I don't know when that line happened, or if it was just about stress, about being abused in the first place, and I was just telling myself that that's why I was doing it, but I was really, you know, I don't know. But it went on for, I don't know, 2 years. It's funny because during the Unforgiven thing, I was talking about being in the hospital.
Yeah.
And yeah, I ended up in the hospital, but you know, I found, because you guys can tell I'm a pretty smart guy, and I found ways to do that in the hospital too. So it's interesting, and obviously there have been other people in my family that have, you know, you could probably tell I've had, you know, we've had a pretty interesting go at it in my family, but yeah, that's interesting. This song, I never looked at the lyrics.
So,
but yeah, it's a terrible coping mechanism for sure.
What made you stop coping that way?
Well, if you didn't see the Unforgiven video, go check out the Unforgiven video. It's where basically God kind of cursed me out. And that
oh, okay, that's when it stopped?
That's when it stopped for
wow,
me.
Okay, interesting.
I had to get it. Well, I had this major religious influence in my life, and I was separated from them when I was there. And so it was kind of finding my faith myself instead of, you know, that major influence, which is why when the kids ask me questions about their faith or whatever, I say, "I don't know, what do you think?" I don't just spoon feed them the answers.
Yep.
Which I know you're not supposed to. I've seen you at times being like, "Oh, this is bad Christianity." I've seen you judging me. Well, not so much anymore.
No, I don't judge you now. I'm just like, if you could see, there's like this huge question mark over my head. I'm like, wow.
Well, they gotta find
because,
it.
like, in my mind, this could be a 3-minute discussion. Do what you need to do. But you go in this big hour-long discussion and you really dig in with them. And at the end, I'm like, wow, that was really good. Like, I wish everybody had a parent like that would really just sit with them and,
well, I mean,
you know, explain.
You know, they gotta own this stuff for themselves. They've got to own the stuff for themselves because when I was kind of, what are you going to do when you become, I mean, they're little now, but when you become 17 and 18 and your parents are no longer your hero and you have to deal with life and I didn't know what to do, but it's interesting because he's talking about, pull yourself up basically by your bootstraps and.
Well, go ahead, sorry.
No, go for it.
Well, I thought there was one part that I was like, okay, more and more your demeanor looks like quicksand. I was like, what is he trying to say? And then I was like, well, quicksand doesn't look like quicksand, and that's the whole problem with it. It looks like it's fine until you stepped out onto it, and then before you know it, you're sucked down into it and you're dead. So he's saying his demeanor looks like quicksand, so I think he's saying, like, more and more I'm looking like I'm okay, but I'm not okay, and nothing is not okay at all, because he's pulling down the sleeves, and he's covering up so nobody really knows. So he's got the quicksand thing there, and then he says, he seems like you're giving up on everything you've worked for, it seems like you're giving up. So now he's, then he says, it's pulling you under, it's gripping around your throat, it's pulling you under. So, like, again, I think that's the same quicksand analogy where it's pulling him under. Like, that's what quicksand does. It grabs a hold of you, and then it just keeps pulling until that's it,
Yeah.
I think of that, it's just crazy. Like, I think that's where he's... And I think that, like, I never, like, physically, like, started, like, actually cutting. Like, I wanted to so badly when I was going through, like, this really, really hard point in my life. Multiple times that I got to these difficult points, and that was what I really wanted to do to, like, cope. Mine was more like, there was so much pain, like, inside of me, and there was nothing to physically show that I was, like, in pain. And so it wasn't even for other people to see. Like, I just wanted, and it wasn't even for me to see the actual cuts. I just wanted to feel the pain of the blade because I wanted to, like, I don't know, like, have something, because it was so inside of me. But I felt like I just had this feeling that if I started doing it, like, it wasn't going to stop until I extremely did something crazy, because I already had suicidal tendencies. And so I remember, like, I had, like, the knife, and then I went on the wall, and I just, like, cut up the wall instead, and I was like, yo, like, I have got to get control of this, because it felt like it was controlling me. So.
Well, I mean, there are, spiritual implications to this stuff, because there's a story of a guy who's inhabited by a bunch of, it's interesting, the Legion story. And we just did the Tool song yesterday, where at the end, Maynard says, Legion, get behind me, or whatever.
Right.
But there is a story in the Bible where there's this guy, and he's basically an outcast from society, and, he was terrorizing the place because he was inhabited by a legion of demons.
Right.
That's where the term legion comes from. In the Tool song, and one of the things he did was he was naked. Did you have your clothes on though?
I did.
Okay.
Well, I'm about shame, so.
Yeah, shame. But the other thing he did, it said that he used to stay up late at night and cut himself with stones.
Yep.
He cut himself, and so I do think that there is a, the penchant toward that type of self-destructive behavior. Obviously, from our view of the world, that there's something deeper going on than just.
And it felt like it too.
Yeah, and what's the line between psychology and spirituality? And I don't really, I think, a lot of the language in the Bible was written 3,500 years ago, right? And so they're not going to say things like, this person is using self-harm as a coping mechanism to deal with their whatever. They're not going to use that type of language. These are ancient Near Eastern people, and that's not their subject matter. There was a physical world and a spiritual world. There wasn't a psychological world at the time, so they're gonna conflate those issues.
Oh yeah, okay, I see what you're saying.
We have categories of psychology.
When did psychology kind of come around?
What's interesting is that the Greek word for soul is psychikos, or psyche.
Yeah.
So psyche, the root word in Greek for soul is psyche, from which we get, psyche, psychology, and all the rest of it. And so I think if we reverse, and if we were to, we're always like trying to put, our modern advancements over here, and then the ancient stuff over there, as if, like we've gone beyond them, instead of saying, hey, maybe it's not either or, maybe it's both and. You got like hyper religious people that will not look at anything from psychology at all.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then you got like all these like hyper modernized post enlightenment.
No spirituality.
You know, you think there's something more than the natural universe. And then they'll cry at a certain lick in a guitar and not know why. Maybe it's both in instead of either or. But anyway, the point of that is that there was this sort of inherent drive toward self-destruction that we all have, especially when we're going through a hard time. Mm-hmm. And I remember one time during it's called DBT, dialectical behavioral therapy, is what they put you through when you're trying to get yourself out of that type of habit, especially when you're impatient, right?
Oh.
And so there's this guy that was really down on himself because he was cutting himself, he couldn't stop, and then the counselor said, it was actually a really good line. He goes, well, you're the type of person who's in so much pain that somebody has to suffer for it, and you don't want to hurt other people, so you hurt yourself.
Oh, wow.
And that seemed to really get through to the guy, and it was a pretty cool moment. You know, it was one of those moments where, you know, he was saying it to the guy, but it affected the entire room.
Yeah.
Because I have also met people who, when they're going through difficulties, like it's hell to pay for everybody around them, and they did get physical with everybody around them. So people who do that, you know, it's interesting. People who do that now, they kind of get made fun of. Oh, you're cutting yourself. You're doing it for attention, and all the rest of it. And I wasn't doing it for attention because I was a roll down your sleeve guy, you know. But there were people that were doing it for attention.
Yeah, I think that there are people doing it for attention, but I don't think that you can tell that by saying who's rolling up their sleeves and who's not.
My thing is, I don't care why they're doing it.
Right. It's still, it's an alarm to tell you something is going on.
Well, yeah, you know, it's one of those things where it's like a baby cries because it doesn't have the vocabulary to call on to say, Mom, I'm hungry.
Or Mom, hold me.
I have a poopy diaper. Mom, hold me. Mm-hmm. They don't have that type of language, and so they do something to get that type of attention. You know, if a baby hasn't eaten for 4 hours and you see him crying his head off, you wouldn't go, well, you're just doing that for attention.
Some people might say that.
Yes, dum-dum, he's doing it for attention. He's calling attention to the fact that he's hungry. You idiot. Dumb butt. So
I wondered how long before you end up saying that.
So if somebody like is in a situation where you're cutting for attention, like give them the fucking attention. What's wrong with you? But it's so the first half of the song is like pull yourself up by your bootstraps, that type of thing, and it is sort of like this motivational, you know. Of course, you know it. At the beginning, anyway, it's like shake it off, pick yourself up. They say.
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't get that. I got it that other people were telling them to pull themselves together and keep moving, and misunderstanding them.
People who have never, for a scintilla of a second, struggled with depression, manic depression, or bipolar, or borderline personality disorder, always up there from you know Valhalla pontificating on, you know.
Yeah.
But weren't you one of those people?
I was just thinking that. Well, what happened was I like struggled with some depression and like, you know, like just like darkness when I would like wake up in the mornings. And when I was like little, I would like cry. I'd wake up like crying. My mom would come to my room, and so she'd start doing these happy songs to wake me up when I was very, very small. Then like as I got older, like I was having the depression, but I was a Christian, so you can't have that. So I thought that I was like. I just tried to ignore it and push it to the side, so I never really dealt with it, but I would like, sometimes it was like so heavy, but I'd get up, I'd get myself going, pull myself up by my bootstraps, you know, and get going. And like I went through dark phases, but I never talked about it, and I never actually even admitted it to myself. Like I would feel it, but I wouldn't like acknowledge it. When I would meet somebody that would say they struggle with depression, then I would just want them to do the same thing that I was doing and not deal with it. Like just pick yourself up and go. But there's sometimes like, and then obviously later on in my life, different circumstances brought on heavier bouts of depression where I couldn't even do anything. And then somebody gave me this advice. Like I felt like I couldn't accomplish anything. And it was actually my dad. He came over to my house, and I think he like looked around. He could see like I was in bad shape. And like he said, you know what, honey? He's like, if you can't like do, like, he didn't put any pressure on me. He just said, like, you don't have to focus on folding the whole load of laundry. Just fold the one thing on the top and fold one dish from in the sink and spend 5 minutes with your daughter playing. So it was like, he just gave me these very, 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 very small things to, like, to do, and then I didn't feel so overwhelmed, like I'm a complete failure on top of my depression. I can't move, I can't do anything, I'm just staying in bed or whatever. I was able to get up and I folded the thing and the two things that were touching. So folded 3 and I washed 3 and I spent 5 minutes, and slowly I started coming out of that depths of depression. I also had a good friend that came and would drag me out to go running and stuff, but yeah.
You need an egg sandwich.
Yeah, I know, he hates egg sandwiches. He'd be like, make an egg sandwich and we'll eat, because I wasn't eating and I was in bad shape, but made it through.
Now she eats everything.
Now I can't stop. Even when we're doing these shows, I'm like, I see the gummies over there, I'm like, I wonder if I can just pop one in my mouth or... Anyway, back to the song.
She's recovered, Joe.
I have.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I'm probably... So I've got a couple ebooks that I'm writing that I'll be publishing soon, but one of them is going to be 5 easy ways to survive Christianity. so if you're interested in that, message me in the village. I'll give you the first chapter for free. Yikes! I'm gonna go off on a rant, and I'll just save the rant for when it's time to write. But I've known you for such a long time, so to see your evolution and arc and moments of self-awareness has been pretty interesting. But it's one of those things where we just had a situation with a family member today where
I know
they just can't. If it was as simple as them saying, you know what, I need to just get my shit together and just go.
Right.
Then they do it.
Right.
And I know there's a line of like personal accountability where you say, come on, like you're accountable as a person to function. But if it was that easy, to pick yourself up and shake it off, then, they do it.
Yeah, because I think that there's some people that like to be miserable.
Sure.
And they like to be the person that's in pain or in this and that, just that way everybody's, oh, and then they're always, oh. But like, at some point you have to find yourself on the other side of that and caring for other people. You can't always be the one being cared for.
Yeah.
And in caring for other people, you find like, there's like some, I don't know, like some value that comes out of it when you give honor to somebody else.
Well, that whole line, it's more blessed to give than receive.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Most people interpret that from a financial perspective, which is also true financially. But I also think that if you're the one that's constantly on the receiving end of other people's, and I don't mean this in a bad sense, pity. Pity is a good word. It means that the people around you are not sociopaths and can feel other people's pain. It's only ego and pride that makes you say that you don't want anybody's pity. That's ridiculous. So if you're constantly on the receiving end though of other people's pity and you're not distributing any pity, pity kind of functions like water in the sense of like, if you're like the person that's just like a constant repository of water, like we'll go to the movies sometimes and there's always this area that we drive by that always just smells so freaking terrible.
It's by the ocean. So.
Because it's just bogged, it's just a bog. And so it's like, and it begins to stink and fester. But if you're just a constant repository of pity and you're not a stream of pity, because a stream, like, it gets water and it gives water simultaneously. And then so I think a lot of life is meant to function that way, is receiving and giving as sort of a simultaneous act. Right? So whether it's your money, whatever it is, if you're a person that's you will become a rancid, smelly person if you're always ingesting money and never giving it. If you're always ingesting food and never sharing it. If you're always ingesting pity and never giving pity to anyone else. That's just a universal principle.
Yep.
And so when Jesus is saying it's more blessed to give than to receive, I think that's what he's touching on. And so, if you're always the person getting the pity, that's not good. And if you're never the person getting pity, then you're a desert. So you have to, there's a balance to life, right?
Yeah, and I don't think you're just going to smell to other people. You're going to feel it in yourself, the stench, the like, ugh. You're going to want to almost get away from yourself.
Yeah. I thought that this song at the end was entirely brilliant.
How it flipped?
Well, at the end, the singer says, "Don't turn your back on the strongest crutch you've ever had."
Yeah, I'm assuming that's his God.
They have always been there to brace your fall.
Father, Son, and Holy Spirit?
Well, obviously,
That's what I was getting from.
as a Christian, right? You're gonna immediately default to the Trinity,
Right.
Because we're Christians. But I think again, this is one of the things I've been constantly saying in a lot of videos is you cannot do life by yourself. You can't. And so people go, Christianity's a crutch. Ha ha ha. And I always see, anytime I see people typing that, they've always got their head up in the air. Like, yes. Do you know, it'd be like if you got into like a 5-car accident and your legs were smashed to pieces, right? And then you walk out of the hospital, and you're on crutches.
Right.
And then somebody goes, "Oh, look at you! You just need a crutch." Yes, because I have broken legs, right? Like, yes, if you have broken legs, you need a crutch. So I will happily concede that yes, Jesus is my crutch for sure. Yes, my life. Yeah. I mean, you don't want my biography, but it's been a pretty fucked up 5 years for me, and I need a crutch. So Jesus is absolutely my crutch. The Trinity is absolutely my crutch. But whatever you use as a crutch, you need a crutch, because I think nobody gets out of this planet alive, right? And nobody gets out like unscathed. Like, I've never met it. Like, first of all, the very reason you're watching this is because it's a freaking metal channel,
right?
Okay, which the metal people are metal people because they're the most self-aware as to how broken they are.
Right. Oh yeah, that's what I'm seeing.
If you're broken, what do you mean you don't need a crutch? You're a damn fool. Listen, think this through. A doctor gives you a crutch. For what purpose?
To help you?
To help you. Well, a crutch functions two ways. One is it's way too painful to walk on a broken leg, so it helps to ease the pain.
But gives you time to heal? It
gives you time to heal. You have a crutch because you need to heal. Mm-hmm. And so... I happily, this is the thing about metalheads, right? We're like, it's the ego. I think one of our missions, like, collectively as a community, and you guys have already helped us with this, is to destroy self-destructive ego. So when somebody, like, messages us, right, and they say, "Hey, I hate to correct you on this, but," because they don't want to be jerks, because most people are egomaniacs. This is my channel.
Yeah, how dare you correct us?
How dare you correct me? No, I said, don't correct me, and don't feel bad about correcting me. Like, we gotta destroy each other's egos, because our egos will
correct us, whatever.
Yeah, our egos will kill us. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna destroy your ego. You need a crutch. Now, if you don't want to say that you don't need God for a crutch, you don't need the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit for a crutch, you need some sort of crutch, because there's some brokenness in your life. And you're never going to heal it unless you can take some pressure off of it and put that pressure and weight somewhere, right? You got to. And I think for a lot of us, it's music, right? I mean, a lot of us are using music as a crutch. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of, I'm all about self-awareness. Come to the awareness that you need a crutch because you're broken somewhere. So I love that. Don't turn your back on the strongest crutch you've ever had. And then he tells you, you've got your whole life to lead. And I think that's the order. I think that's a proper order. To say, you're broken, you need a crutch, don't turn your back on the crutch, fall on it. You've got your own life. You've got your whole life ahead of you. Which is, honestly, is a moment of confession, is a hard thing for me to really, like, put certain things in the past and actually go forward and fully engage in the future. Because there's stuff that's I don't even know how to say it, undone, untied, shoelaces untied, or whatever, that, I'm kind of like, but, the thing that's the most fucked up about the past is that it's set in stone.
Wow.
Like, there's nothing you can do to undo it. And so, you gotta be able to just say, okay, that's done, there's nothing I can do about it. I got my whole life to lead now. And, we're all...
Yeah.
That's the journey. Anyway, Very simple song. What did you think of the music?
I think I liked it. I didn't think it was average, but I didn't think it was unbelievable. Like, probably give the song, like, okay, I would give the song a 7, but I will give the song a 7.5 because it gave a solution.
Yes.
And we haven't been getting songs with solutions, only problems.
Funny, the Christian band has some sort of solution.
I wish you wouldn't have told me it was a Christian band, though.
Why?
Honestly, I don't see how this is any different than any of the other bands, except that there's a solution.
Not at all.
But other than that, like, it seems, you know, some of the other ones talked about God more than this one didn't even say anything about.
Right.
It just was kind of like,
yeah.
You know, if you believe his crutch to be the Trinity, fine. But it could also be other things, you know, it could be his friends, it could be his, you know, whatever, I don't know.
I don't even think he was talking about the Trinity there.
Oh, what do you think he was talking about?
I think you would interpret it that way, but I think he's talking about like a network of friends or people that, you know, that care about you and all that stuff. I don't think he was talking
They're
about
the strongest crutch you've
ever had. Yeah.
Well, friends can't hold you up forever.
There's just nothing. There's nothing in that actual line that goes there in my mind.
What? Oh, yeah.
I don't think he's going there.
Okay.
Because the Trinity is a pretty sophisticated concept. You don't even see Christians referring. They usually say God, Jesus,
no,
whatever.
You're right.
But they never talk about God as a whole in that.
No, you're right.
That
That's
sense.
true.
So that's something that's unique to your, you know, application of Christianity.
Did you put that on my computer? You put my name on there? Sori's MacBook?
I can't believe we're talking about something as significant as that. And you're talking about your
screensaver.
screensaver.
I thought it was sweet that you did. Did you do that? You did? Oh,
Your Grace.
Make it up to you.
Your Grace, it does that automatically.
What? It does?
Your name is Sori, and so it says Sori's MacBook.
Yeah, but I didn't say it was never doing that this afternoon.
It's automatically. Your Apple ID.
You did it.
Your Apple ID is Sori, so.
Oh, I thought you did it.
All right.
No, I would have made it up to you, but I guess not. All right,
this is my life with Sori. It goes literally. The train goes to one station, and then it stops at the food court. Mm-hmm. But then it's going to that station. Mm-hmm. So here we are talking about like this grand existential issue, and she finds some way to anyway. I thought the metal was good. I liked the guitar work. There were a lot of rhythm changes that to me just seemed disconnected and didn't really flow. It's oh, okay, we're doing this. It's kind of like a kid who tells a story, and then like oh, and then this, and then it had the dragon had wings, and then the grass turned orange and pink on Wednesdays, and then apples and
yeah.
You know, it's just like a lot of like stuff cobbled together, but they all rocked though. Yeah, the musicianship, like I said, I've always like known like the music and rock to it and stuff like that. But like if I really sit down and think about it, I'm like, it's all just like cobbled together. Like it's not really like there's no logic progression, but I still like it.
So what do you give it?
I'm still gonna give the song an 8.5 regardless.
All right.
What are you gonna give it?
I already scored it. Did I give it a 7.5?
Nope.
What did I give
7.5? Okay, so you give it a 7.5.
Yeah, I give it a 7.5.
So that's an 8?
Yeah, I guess.
8.5 plus 7.5 is an 8. Okay, good. August Burns Red Composure got an 8. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in. That's the Underground Show. We'll see you guys tomorrow for the main stage show. Check out our other shows. We've got 3.5 trilogies.
Listen, you always say you're look at how much you're crowding me in there. Push over, please. There.
Paperweight gets shoved around. I was trying to tell the nice people about the trilogy.
You can, but just stay on your side.
We've got the Maynard's Mom trilogy, which is actually a quartet. We've got the Rev trilogy. Shout out to the big homie. And we've got the Metallica, the Unforgiven trilogy. By the way, the big homie, I think his name is Peter Steele.
Yes.
The lead singer of Typo Negative.
Yes.
So I didn't know that he went back to the Ain Soph. So Rest in peace to him. All right, and Typo fans, don't worry. We will be doing, I think it's Black Number 1, I think is the next Typo song.
Something like that.
A ton of requests.
Ton of requests, yep.
We're doing Black Number 1 pretty soon, okay, guys? All right, Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone.